Hello everybody and welcome to the Parker Street Food Company. My name is Damien, and with the onset of the cooler weather, now is the perfect time to master your stock making skills. Today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful chicken stock here, which is the perfect foundation to so many recipes in our kitchen. I'll explain a little bit about that later. To start with, my large pot, I've got my chicken frames here. Now these have been purchased from the local butcher shop. They've been rinsed under cold water and we've trimmed any excess fat off those. I'm going to pop those into my pot. And with that, I'm going to pour over cold water. The idea of using cold water here is that we want to be able to bring this up to the boil, and then we can cook out any of the impurities and the blood and proteins out of the bone, and they will then float to the top. Now, one of the quality attributes to a good stock is its clarity. So we're going to take a little bit of time to make sure this stock's nice and clean. So my bones and my water, they're going to be popped onto the stove, and I've got one here that I prepared a little bit earlier, so I'll just pop this one to the back. Now this stock here has been cooking for about 20 minutes. It's come up to the boil and turned into a simmer, and I'm slowly taking the time to take off any of the excess fat and protein that has floated to the top. You can see this stock here is just barely simmering, and that's important. If we boil the stock hard, all of these impurities will be boiled back into the stock and the stock can go cloudy. You notice I've only got my bones in here and nothing else, and that's simply because I don't want to have to fight through the vegetables and the garnish to try and take these impurities off. So add those a little bit later. So it's going to take a moment just to get rid of some of these little bits and pieces floating on top, and we will do this throughout the cooking process. Maybe every half an hour or so we'll pop in and just make sure that anything that's floating to the top is being removed. Okay, so we've cleaned that stock off. Now it's time to add the aromatics. So here we have some celery, some onions, I've got some garlic here which has been chopped, some peppercorns, some bay leaves, and in here I have some fresh thyme and parsley wrapped up in thyme. So in we go. Making stocks sometimes seems a little daunting, but you can see the process here is actually very simple. And cooking is all about simplicity, just making sure that we just follow the steps along the way. In with my parsley stalks. I'll tie that to the handle so I can remove those later. I'll just use my ladle here just to pop those things under the water. And like I said, this stock now is going to simmer away. We'll pop in every so often and just clean off any little bits of fat that float to the top. This stock is going to cook for 2 to 4 hours, no longer than that, because if we go any longer, the bones will start to break down and then the stock will then become cloudy again. So after a minimum of 2 hours, we'll turn this off here and we'll carefully strain that stock off. Do yourself a favour, just make sure you're straining into another bowl or a pot. Don't just put the strainer in the sink, pour the liquid down. It's happened before, it can happen again. After 2 hours, we strain the stock off. We end up with a beautiful chicken stock like so. Now, as I said right at the start, this is a foundation recipe here. We use chicken stocks for so many things in our kitchen, whether it be risottos or stews or gravys or soups. And it's really nice to be able to have a homemade chicken stock. You can make an amount like so and then break it into portions and pop it into the freezer. And a homemade chicken stock gives you so much more flexibility than perhaps a shop bought stock, which is often highly seasoned, highly sweetened, and it doesn't give you that flexibility. So if you can, do yourself a favour, make your own chicken stock, pop it in the freezer, and when you're ready to use it, out it comes and away you go. You'll really appreciate you making the effort. Thank you for joining us here at Parker Street Food Company.